In a world occupied with the next evolution of creative output, there are few artists who stay true to their style, uninfluenced by the barrage of trends pulling at their subconscious. Sedrick Avenue is one of the rare few who have persisted in exuding extreme individuality through his craft in a genre of music that is wrought with fads driven by capitalism. Under the name Whygee, he has composed some of the most powerfully conscious music to don the label hip-hop and continues to define its true meaning through his work. In this episode of COCINA PIRATA podcast, Sedrick and I discuss his evolution through the decades and the power of being lost in creativity.
Contra la muerte nosotros demandamos vida. Contra el silencio exigimos la palabra y el respeto. Contra el olvido, la memoria. Contra la humillación y el desprecio, la dignidad. Contra la opresión, la rebeldía. Contra la esclavitud, la libertad. Contra la imposición, la democracia, y contra el crimen, la justicia.
What's up, brother? How are you doing? How is everything going in Denver, Colorado right now?
Denver is good and it's cold. It's good and cold. That's it.
Is it you guys are in the midst of the winter right now, no? Has it been pretty intense?
It was chill until just like, we had like, well, I don't know if you know, but like we just had like one of the biggest snows we've had in some years a couple days ago. It like melted the next day, but for like a brief moment, it was pretty bad.
It was all that stuff that went through Texas, yeah?
Yeah, at the same time, it was just, it hit us, differently, obviously not as severe, but it was definitely cold. It was very cold. Everything was frozen.
Yeah, I'm down by the equator now, so it's an extreme, man. Like I do love the snow. I do miss the snow. I miss that cold weather, and I miss seasons for sure. Down here, it's beautiful, but it's a little bit hot. Can get up to, in the wintertime, it's 85, 90. That's a little bit much for me, but I definitely don't miss like frozen in the city too much.
I think moving around is key. As I get older, I feel like I have to get into a position where I can move around. I don't think I need to be in one place because like my comfort zone changes, like the weather changes. Sometimes I want it to be cold. Yeah. Sometimes I want it to be hot.
Yeah, I feel that. I can feel that for sure. And it's definitely been like, for me, a beautiful experience to just get out of the country and live outside the bounds a little bit. I mean,
right.
When I moved to LA, it was definitely a change, but it wasn't like enough of a change to really shake me loose from some of the behavior I had been stuck in for so many years. So I feel it, and dealing with the heat, bro, like dealing with the heat all the time when I'm not really built for that shit just teaches me a little bit about myself. So anyways, but yeah, you gotta try to make it down when you get the time. I'm actually moving a little bit further north, so hopefully you'll be able to make a visit. We'll put a little studio in there and we can do this next one in person.
So it's funny to talk to you right now because yesterday QNOX dropped off a visit surprise from Bric-a-Brac.
No,
I haven't seen Bric-a-Brac. He hasn't been around. He left. He went to Mississippi. He was in California, and QNOX called me yesterday and was like, "Yo, come downstairs. I got a surprise." I was in the shower. I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna be a minute, man. I'll come down though." And I was like, "The baby's asleep, so I gotta come down and shoot right back up." And he was like, "Oh, it's gonna be quick. Just come downstairs." And I ran downstairs and it's him and Bric-a-Brac standing outside in fucking COVID masks.
No,
and
man.
Bric-a-Brac back. Yeah. So
that I just before we got on the call, and I knew we would get here somehow. I was just listening to some of that old shit, and when I was talking with one of my homies the other day, Danny Johnson, he's a producer under the name of Self Help from New York. We were talking about just the evolution of music and people who've stayed in the pocket, and you guys in the shit you guys put together, specifically Drastic to me was one of the best pieces of hip hop ever created on the
Right.
face of the earth. And somehow, like I remember, and maybe you can give me a little bit more. I would love it if you shared that story one more time, that you shared a little bit of you and Bric-a-Brac, how you guys met and how that all happened. And go ahead.
Like, so just basically, I've told it so many times now, it's condensed down to a real easy story. We both were in Boulder somehow. He had just moved there, I think. He had just got there from like Mississippi. And I had got into a car accident and I was just chilling in Boulder because my face was scratched up. And my cousin in Boulder was never home. So I was just sleeping on couches in Boulder. And Austin, Bric-a-Brac, happened to be in Boulder too. So what happened was he somehow acquired a random 303 ticket, the group 303, and I somehow acquired a random 303 ticket. We don't know each other. This is just happening in our own ends. This is happening in our own ends of the universe. We're at the show. We're both at the show. We still haven't met. There comes a point where I just go outside. Like, I'm like, this is really crazy. This music is, and I'm outside. The only other person outside is a white dude, and that white dude was smoking a cigarette, and it was Bric-a-Brac. I like asked him for a cigarette, and when you outside of a concert, you small talking, smoking cigarettes. What do you do? Oh, I rap. What do you do? Oh, I DJ. Oh, we should hook up. You know what I'm saying? You should play me some shit sometime, and that's how it happened. We was just both like not enjoying a 303 show, basically.
Well, two of the greatest hip hop minds in Colorado at the time, just chilling out at I don't even know. I mean, I don't know what you call that style of music, but yeah, chilling at the Fox. We'll call it chilling at the Fox, and there just happened to be a concert going on.
At the Fox. And didn't buy tickets. Yeah. And also important, I see 303 differently now than I did at the time when I was like trying to be rap supremacy. You understand?
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like, it was more of a competitive thought than anything else at that time. Like, now I couldn't care less, whatever. But it's a great story, and it's a funny story, and I'm glad it happened. It's amazing that we both walked out of the concert outside at the same time. It's just a funny story.
Yeah, and what came from that was some of the most incredible music. And definitely some. It's funny that you say hip hop supremacy and that your perspective has changed a little bit, because I do feel like you guys were at that place, and like, for whatever reason, just because we're on the subject of 303, there was some shit hitting that wasn't. I mean, to me, it still happens. There's shit hitting that just doesn't make sense or isn't really pure of intention or supreme, and for you guys to have been in that place, it was probably a little bit difficult, but
I think that, what's the best way to say? I think that the things just changed. The art, the music just changed. I don't think that I feel any different about new hip hop now than my mom felt about the music that I was listening to when I was younger. You know what I'm saying? Like, she thought it was the worst thing she'd ever heard. Like, what is this mess? You know what I'm saying? And that's how I feel about a lot of new music. I think it's just the natural, that's how life goes. You listen to the shit that was hot to you when it was hot to you forever, basically. You know what I'm saying?
On that tip though, I get that. I really do. And I really do understand that, like, for sure there was that different, but do you think that in like, because you look back, for example, you look back and you start like Bric-a-Brac, all you guys, Jip, Q-Nox, the whole Damien, all the dudes who are still really holding it down and never walked away to create something for money or for fame or for Instagram followers or anything, but really still holding on to that purist mentality in a sense. You guys dig through crates of shit that like your mom listened to, for example. Do you think that your kid is going to be digging through crates for like, do you think that the evolution then becomes like whatever's next, whatever's in your child's generation becomes them looking for Rick Ross samples or Lil Wayne samples?
Sure. I think that, I don't know if they're like, I feel like sampling will always be a part of the shit. You know what I'm saying? Because even like bands playing covers is sampling to me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's all sampling to me. So I feel like, and it's weird to ask me for my kid, because anybody who follows me on Instagram knows that my kid is 2 and does what I do now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I don't know if everybody's kid will be like that. My kid copies what I do. He sees me look for samples on records. So I imagine that that'll be a part of his process, at least for a while. You know what I'm saying?
I guess I mean more that, like, on the tip of you saying that your mom thought that your music was wild.
Music wasn't right.
The shit that's coming out right now, to me, a lot of the shit that's coming out right now is almost senseless. And I will preface that by saying that it is catchy, and I understand that there is a science behind what they're doing, and I understand why people listen to it, and I can find myself. I can turn it on the radio, I can listen to it, and it can stick, but it's still not what it was. Like, I have this thought a lot now about whether or not creativity will be pure ever again, or if we're all just gonna follow this sequence of
both. I think both. I think that certain people will it's like reading books. Certain people are always gonna fucking read books. Certain people, they're going to always go find them. Even if they start burning books again, certain people are going to hide books. They're going to love books. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Certain people are going to love art, bro. Certain people are going to make sure that the Mona Lisa don't get burnt. You know what I'm saying? Certain people. So I think that it slices both ways. You know, of course, there'll be a whole lot of people who are just cookie cutter artists, who just, you know, chase whatever the next big thing is, whatever the wave is. But you're always going to have those other people, man, those anomalies shit who just don't even see it. You know what I'm saying? I think Kanye West is a trip, not about any of the crazy shit he did. Just one thing that he said when he was younger, when he was first, like, you know, in our ears and shit. He was talking about making beats and how he could paint a picture of his beat, because in his mind, parts of his beat are colors. That's not normal, bro. You're going to have people that in society. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
That will not only push art or preserve art, but they're going to make it way bigger and greater. A lot of other people, you know what I'm saying? And that'll always be enough, I think. You know what I'm saying? Because, like, I think music is senseless right now. But I think that in the midst of that senselessness, if you take some time, if you have time, you can find some really good stuff. Yeah, absolutely. You know what I'm saying?
Is that a conscious thought for you? Because I feel like you're one of those people. I feel like you're one of through the years we've been. I mean, it's been years since we've seen each other, but I pay attention to what you do, and through the years, I'm always like, I see everybody change their shit a little bit. You know what I mean? And I always thought, like, I remember the first time I listened to your music, and the first time I saw you play, and the first time I talked to you, I was like, where the fuck is this dude from? Like, how is he still doing this shit? And how does he not give a fuck enough to change? Like, you somehow live your life. Is that a conscious effort that you make? Or do you feel like people like yourself just, like, for yourself, you just, do you battle thoughts of change, or do you just sit in the pocket because that's who you are?
No, I battle thoughts of change, and the same things that make me, it's corny to say, but the same things that make me great as an artist, they don't necessarily make me that great as, like, a person. You know what I mean? Like, as a functioning human in society, they don't make me as great as they do as an artist. As an artist, you know what I'm saying? I haven't changed. Well, I haven't changed to people who watch me because I'm sincere to myself, but I know that I've changed. People closest to me know that I've changed, and my music has changed, and it's grown. You know what I'm saying? But it's so genuine to my personality, and to, like, I live it. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't know anything else. And again, that doesn't necessarily make me the best functioning human in regular society, but in the art realm, like, I am the art, bro. It's not that my music's good. I'm the exhibit. You know what I'm saying?
No, I feel that, you know, like when I met you, I was actually I started cooking when I was like started in a kitchen when I was 13 years old, and when I met you, it was actually like during a brief period of my life where I had walked away for like 4 to 5 years from the practice because I wasn't aligning specifically with what was going on in that space, and I had a lot of inner thoughts about change and how to change. And then when I got back into cooking, I get into the rat race of like trying to get to the top, whatever, just really just getting my skills back. And most recently I've had this epiphany as well, that like I am in a sense in a sense my art as well. Like I've put myself in a very specific location because I want to get away from the noise and because I want to find out what the fuck is going on in my head. And again, also I'm not a very, very, very model human being as far as normal functionality in society goes. You know what I mean? Shit like the best creators, bro, I don't think that they can be, because in order to be like that type of, you can look at a photograph of me. You can look at a photograph, some of them of you now, and you can tell how lost a person is in their, in their craft. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? When they're creating that fucking movie, that Pixar movie is all about that. The Soul movie. You know what I'm saying? It's all about that. Like you get lost in it. There's no way to be a functioning human if you're really creating something, if you're really passionately making art. I don't give a fuck if you make paper mache. If you're really into it and you're lost, you know what I'm saying? There's no way to be a regular human. At least not at those moments. Yeah, and it's a really beautiful feeling to have. Like, you know, where I was when I was in Denver, I was fucked up, bro. I was lost in a different way, and now I can be lost in myself, which is beautiful. And I think that guys like you watching, you're a really pure example of this, and that's why I've always loved watching what you do and listening to your music and just watching the way you navigate, because I think that you are lost always, but like in yourself, in your art, and you have always said fuck you to anybody that didn't want to be part of it. You're absolutely accurate. I can go in the other room and we can get my old lady and she can tell you all the time she fusses at me and cusses at me because I'm lost, bro. I'm lost in the sauce. I'm knee deep in records back here, basketball on a TV, joint papers every, like I'm lost. You know what I'm saying? It's tranquil. It's sanctuary, but it's also like I am not here with you right now. I'm sorry. Yeah. Do you was the choice on that tip, was the choice to go, are you strictly going by Sedrick now? Is that there's no I guess the reason I presented that question, because I didn't know if it was like a connection to self that you found that you needed to present yourself really, that way. That's a part of it is just I think it's fascinating that it's okay for people to rap by their regular names now. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. The Isaiah Rashads, if that's his real name, and the Kendrick Lamars and whatnot. I think that's a really cool thing. I think that that's a safe thing, and I think that that's something that should have always been present. You shouldn't have to been some other thing in order to become a rapper. You know what I'm saying? So that was a part of it. But really, the reason why I started doing the Sedrick Avenue was just trying to change, man. I was just trying to do something different. You know how you was talking about, change and whatnot. Bric-a-brac packed up and left. Shows dried up. It just got weird. Music changed. And I was just kind of in a gray area. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I wasn't doing nothing for a minute. Then I started making beats. Then the beats started to get good. And I was like, well, let's try a whole new thing. Yeah, how was that shift? That was pretty rapid, and I noticed that you did kind of go off the grid for a little while, and it was like Bric-a-brac left, Denver started to do whatever the fuck Denver's doing right now, what he's continuing to do. I was working, bro. Really, what I did, it wasn't just that I disappeared. I had got like a really good warehouse job. I had like top tier insurance
You know what I'm saying? I was making like good money, the money you want to make,
adult type shit.
The I'ma be okay money is what I was making. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I did that for like 5 or 6 years. And then maybe in like the 4th or 5th year, Aisha popped up pregnant randomly and unexpected. And that wasn't a problem. That was fine. We was fine with that. But I found myself having more time around the house because I was just going to work and I come home and make sure she was straight. And having more time around the house, I had acquired studio equipment to make beats and stuff. I had just never hooked it up.
Yeah.
And never really, you know what I'm saying? I just had time and I just started messing with stuff and tooling around. And I looked up and I was rapping again and you know what I mean? But Jip was always knocking. Jip never stops bothering me.
I gotta get that guy on next. He's just a force of nature,
right
no?
now.
And he's
a great person to talk to right now.
Yeah, and he's that was another thing that I watched, that like you guys did like a from the basement or something like that you just did the Whygee beats, that shit. Even because it was funny, I went from listening to Drastic to that, and I was like, you can see the evolution, but you can see the maintenance that's been there. It's almost like a perfection has happened in your craft and his craft, and the dedication to that original type shit is still there. So
we developed this weird musical like relationship. And, you know, we're brothers in real life, but we've developed this weird musical relationship where we can play off of each other. And it's like, you know, he could send me a bunch of shit and forget about it. And he'll know that, like, this may resurface in, like, a year or something. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, there used to be a time where that wasn't possible. We would bump heads. There would be riffs. You know what I'm saying? But we spent enough time and grown enough as artists to where now, like even the music that's coming out, a lot of it isn't even recorded on isn't even like planned. A lot of it is just like, yo, you want to put out a Christmas tape? Yeah, let's put out a Christmas tape. Like 2 days before, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or he sent me like 3 or 4 beats that from the basement shit. We did the EP and it was like 3 songs. And Jip had just sent two beats over, and then I did a beat and rapped to them all. And I wasn't supposed to rap none of that. I rapped what would be considered Whygee music or Sedrick Avenue music. I didn't rap Whygee music to what he sent me. Yeah. But I just did. You know, we was in quarantine. Motherfuckers was in the streets. I lived downtown. They're marching by my crib. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna rap about this. Instead of rapping about like girls and parties and whatnot and doing hip hop fun records, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna just smack Jip with it by surprise. And we just gonna run. And that's how the records have worked.
Yeah.
So who knows what'll happen? We have a bunch of catalog that's like good songs that we recorded along the way. It's like a real recording process. It's weird that in a time where you should not have a traditional like 3-4 year album recording process, that's precisely what we had.
And that kind of and it plays hand in hand. No, I mean, it seems to work the best for you. That is you guys' style. No, I mean that also holds on to that old. Right. That there's a lot more meaning behind the music, I feel, in that sense. No, do you feel like when it's natural and it just comes up and maybe something he sent you a year ago pops up, is that to you creativity? Is that to you like, okay, I'm gonna sit on this because right now it doesn't speak to me, instead of trying to force it? I mean, I think that
sometimes it's like that, but really, bro, it's just like, if I can finish it today, I'll finish it today. I'm 20 years into to smoking weed and performing and all that shit. Like sometimes I just can't finish it in a day. You know, sometimes the song might take a couple weeks to finish. It's just like the natural flow of things. You know what I mean? And again, there was a time where that was a problem. There was a time where Jip wouldn't speak to me for like a month because I didn't turn around and sing the song back, or I didn't email him back and say the beat was dope right away. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But he's comfortable now. He knows that I'm that guy now. I'm that producer now. Now, if I send him a beat, I'm on him. Like, yo, you hear it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I'm the new producer.
Yeah.
But for the music and for the rapping and the hip hop, like he trusts me. So it's just a good situation, man. I hope that at the end of all this, we wind up with a really good record. We've got a lot of teasers along the way because we put out a record, and then we put out a Christmas tape, and then we put out the message, and then we did that video, and then we got a bunch. We got a bunch of stuff that we recorded along the way that we kind of just sitting on.
Is that the plan right now, or is there a plan? Are you focused on one thing specifically?
It's kind of the plan. I would say that it's more of the parachute than the plan.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's hard to have a plan when you don't really know what tomorrow brings. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
There still ain't concerts. There still ain't nightclubs. There's still not, you know what I'm saying? There's still, so it's the parachute, man. It's the safe landing on the other side of this, if anything.
Yeah, that's the one thing it's cool to hear you talk about that. Danny, who I was just talking to, Danny is an electronic, well, he's a DJ. He was a hip hop DJ that became he makes like Moombahton now, kind of.
Right.
You know,
I'm at a stage where he's a musician.
Yeah. There you go. He's a musician. He really truly is like
dance music or not dance music.
but we there you go. But we were talking because we were talking about how now electronic music kind of pivoted in a direction where I wasn't really surprised by what happened, and I think it would have been a natural transition anyways into this Twitch streaming, live shows. It seemed like obviously it was a little bit more difficult or a little bit less profitable probably than going and playing live shows, but the transition, and when I talked with him, he was like, I just used this time to sit at home and think and like put together things in a better way and produce better music instead of focusing on the trying to keep going something that didn't exist, the live show. No, because he's the kind of DJ. I mean, he lives in New York City, and he's not going and playing huge festivals. Every once in a while he does with some of his projects, but he's more focused on like the neighborhood spots, building there's these little pockets in New York City that he DJs in. And so I definitely think there'll be some cool shit coming out of these 12 months now. We're pushing a year of COVID. So I'm happy to see that you guys have been tied up there. What about QNOX? What about those guys? Are you guys, is anything coming out of the woodwork with those guys? What's he up to? What are you guys? Big Wheel, is Big Wheel still around?
Well, they played into it a little bit before it was just ridiculous to even try to play anymore. They kept playing for a minute. I don't really know what their plan is as a band, but everybody's still making music. Everybody's staying, busy. Sarlo teaches QNOX, my bad. Yeah. QNOX teaches students. He teaches
piano,
kindergarten, first grade, second grade, I think up to like fifth grade or something like that. He teaches music classes and does private lessons. So he's always making music and listening to music and whatnot.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Again, they're kind of in the same position as me. Like what you want to do that and you want to have something ready, but you don't know what you're preparing for necessarily. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm sure that they'll still have their residency whenever that's able to be a thing again. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And on top of that, I think that specifically in Denver, quite a bit changed from the days that I was there. Even in the past few years, the way shows play out and the music scene changed a little bit. There wasn't, there used to be a lot of investment in local music as far as shows playing all the time. I know obviously COVID squashed that shit, but before that happened, it seemed like, I mean, I hear a lot of people talk about even before the weed scene really blew up, there was a lot of talk about gentrification in 5 Points, for example, right? Right. And you actually being somebody there, it was funny to me because a lot of the people that I saw speaking about gentrification were actually the first gentrifiers, right? And the art scene, the rhinoceropolis type shit that was really the first. I think that a lot of times those artists don't realize that they are gentrification. They are the first stage of gentrification. But you being from there, what is your perspective on what's happening there right now? I mean, I was back in July of 2020, and that place looked like it's like a fucking TV show. Like, I can't even imagine what happened there in 4 years, 5 years. What is that like for you? Because you are in the midst of that shit, and you have been in the midst of that shit.
Like, I don't even know how to answer that, bro, because, like, I can give the typical answer. It's terrible. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy to watch, and it's unfair and whatever. But at the same time, like, if I'm getting punched in the face, and there's 50 people in the room also getting punched in the face, like, I ain't gonna scream out like, "Oh, I'm getting punched in the face." We're all getting punched in the face. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of how I feel. It sucks, but it's happening everywhere.
Yeah.
That's every city. It's not my city. It's every city that has a neighborhood like mine, that has a guy that looks like me.
Yeah. And it seems like in Denver specifically, it happened so rapidly that no one paid attention. I really believe that there's a glass ceiling to that shit, because marijuana is slowly becoming legalized. First of all, I think that the majority of that growth was on the back of recreational marijuana becoming legal, correct? And a lot of people moved there. Now there's a tech scene, whatever. But I think there's a glass ceiling, and it's going to be interesting because I think that gentrification, like you said, has happened in many cities throughout history, and it's a revolving door. No, I think
that the glass ceiling is nearing, because basically, from what I can tell, is what happens is, like, right where I live, there's not enough people to rent these apartments.
Yeah.
There's not enough parking spaces. If you did fill these apartments, there's not enough parking spaces. There's not enough grocery stores. There's not enough nothing. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's a big ass board game of Monopoly, bro.
That's what it looks like. That's what it looks like in Denver, Colorado.
With real money and real buildings, and they're empty, just like the little plastic ones.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That's what it looked like when I went back there, and that's what I wondered is, where is this shit? There's this cat. There's this cat, it's totally on subject, but still kind of random. There's this cat that I listen to on YouTube, this producer that does, like, beat making tutorials. But he's crazy, like we are. He goes off the edge sometimes, and he'll just start talking about crazy shit for like an hour and stop making the beat. You know what I'm saying? There's this one episode or whatever you want to call it, where he pulls up Google Maps, bro, and he shows these little apartments that they're building in my neighborhood. He shows them in, like, Germany. He shows them in, like, everywhere in the world. They're building these little stupid looking apartment buildings that you see, bro. And they're all empty. Yeah.
It's the wildest shit. It's a real game of Monopoly, bro.
And I don't know what they're waiting for, because there's also not jobs to fulfill that. Like, nothing, parking, job, none of that shit exists.
Bro, we pushing like the 14th month of please stay home, stay off the streets, and wear your mask. Nigga, construction been going the whole time.
Really?
I am not joking. I am not joking. We can walk, and I'll show you construction sites right now all over downtown. I live downtown. You know how New York used to look like 10 years ago? A crane on every corner?
Yeah.
Like, that's how Denver looks, bro. Cranes everywhere.
And it's in the middle of nowhere. There's it was a small, and I think that there was a misperception, at least when I went there, and this will kind of come back to, like, this creative, the music scene, the art scene, the fashion scene that never really existed, but some people think they did. It was a small town. Denver to me was a small town with big buildings, and the mentality was a small town mentality, because there was a lot of people patting themselves on the back, and there was a lot of people who really thought they were making it when they were doing big things in town, et cetera, et cetera. It seems like now everyone thinks it's a big city. It's not. To me, it's not really it doesn't really seem like a city. Does it seem that way to you? Am I off base saying that it's like a small town?
It's getting there now. The thing that about it was before was it was labeled a major metropolitan city, but it wasn't one. It was spread out. You know what I'm saying? There was gaps between, there was a gap between Denver and Broomfield and Arvada. There was a gap between, when I said gap, like land, no houses, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
It's not like that no more. They done built everything. So it's more like that now. But I think that it's definitely smaller, just in the sense that, like, when you in like LA or something, to drive to another city, that's a drive. You drive to another city in Denver, most places, it's like 20, 30 minutes. You can go to Boulder in 20, 30 minutes. You can go to Arvada 20, 30 minutes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's not massive, but what has happened is there's a shit ton more of people, bro. Just there's a lot of people here now, and they're not stopping. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of catching up. My point is, it's catching up to the reputation that it had.
Yeah.
It had a reputation that it had to earn. It had a big city reputation, but it was a small town. But now it's like big city vibes, big city prices, condos, all that shit, all that LA shit is Denver now.
Yeah, I think it's almost more expensive. I was just talking with Grigsby actually, and Grigsby said he was looking to get outside the city. He's got a little house in I don't know, is that southeast? I don't really know the neighborhood, whatever, it's over there. He's looking to get outside the city a little bit, and he looked up in Evergreen, and he was looking up in Evergreen, and I thought that like that was protected, that was far enough outside that it would be protected from the shit a little bit. But he said he was like, yeah, somebody made a cash offer for like 150 over the asking price, and I was like, it's so wild that is happening in Denver, Colorado. And I don't know if anybody realizes this, but I don't really believe that there's a justification for that price outside of, like, look, I think that there was a lot of land, and so there was a lot of opportunity for people to move there and grow a shitload of weed. And then there was like a specific amount of people that could sell that weed inside the city. But it seems to me like the glass ceiling is, how many people can we fit inside this little space? Or obviously it's not very many, and not very many are coming, but like financially, how do they support themselves? Like what is going on there on a day-to-day basis that people are making money like this? I guess, I don't know. I don't know what's going on there. Is it weed?
Partying, man. It's literally weed, breweries, Starbucks. Before this, food, restaurants was big here. This is one of the bigger get you something to eat places. They weren't great restaurants, but they had great reputations, great reviews.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They were landmarks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But all those places just closed. So I don't know, man. I don't know. But I think maybe, you know what it is for real? I do know. It's the outdoor shit. It's the 300 days of sunshine a year.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's mountains. It's the kayaking. It's the mountain biking. You know what I'm saying? The outdoor tourism works as well. And I guess that goes hand in hand with smoking weed, right? There's nothing like smoking weed and going on a hike. Right. Partying, man. I'm telling you, it's partying. I got a homie, Earl Gravy. Man. And I'm quoting him to the bank on this. He's the first person to say this. I ain't never heard nobody else say this. He said that Denver is white people Atlanta. And that's the realest shit I ever heard. It's the realest shit I ever heard.
That is
100%. That's what it is, bro.
It's straight up. When we went back, when we were there in July, we went down to Larimer, and
hold on, I gotta let on a special guest for 1 second.
Do your thing. Yes. What is up? Hello. Hey, what up, buddy?
Hey, hi.
How you doing?
Say what's up, Trav.
Hey, what up? What's up, buddy? How you doing? Hey, Aisha. No way.
Aisha's standing at the door like, I'm sorry.
No, that's beautiful, man. He's goddamn, how much different, how things have changed. What a beautiful child you have, man. Congratulations.
Awesome. It's fun. Thank you. It's fun. It's awesome. He DJs, he raps, he does everything. It's amazing.
I've seen that connection, man. Do you feel like that brought you back? Because like we had talked about this dip out, and you were doing the working, the I got what I need money, and that was sufficing for the moment. And it kind of came because of that, you know, bric-a-brac leaving. I'm sure some of the shift that happened in Denver. Do you feel like your kid brought a little bit of that, doing that shit with your kid brought a little bit of that back for you? Like brought a little bit of that fire back, a little bit of that, like.
I don't know if seeing, I don't think seeing him do those things gives me fire, but I think that seeing him do them puts me in a comfortable enough place. It helps in a way.
Yeah.
I don't think that it directly helps, like, oh, I see him doing it, so I'm gonna go do it.
Yeah.
But it definitely helps. Like, I can say that as he grows and gets smarter, like I enjoy rapping more.
Yeah.
And it's connected somehow. It's weird. It's weird. You're gonna see. You're gonna see. You're gonna see. It's weird, bro.
I know there's that.
It's amazing.
I can tell there's that. I can tell there's that subconscious itch, that reconnection with childhood that's so beautiful, and
man,
it's powerful. No, it's an incredible thing.
You forgot two things that you forgot that you're reminded of every day. Every day, walking around with a crying infant, changing shitty diapers and shit. You forget that you're a selfish motherfucker, and you're reminded that you're a selfish motherfucker immediately. Like, you quickly reminded how much of your life has been me. Because now there is no you. You got to make sure that this baby stays alive. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's the first thing. The second thing that you're constantly reminded of that you forgot is to just, like, how to have fun, man. How to be a kid, how to have an imagination, how, like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, all of the stuff that you just is silly to you is no longer silly once they're like 2, because you're 2 again.
Yeah. And
you got to meet them at their level to get them to eat broccoli and shit.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And how beautiful that I believe that our generation specifically went through some weird shit. Shit changed too quickly, I feel like. I mean, not that shit is not changing too quickly now, but we were kind of the first generation that was on this weird empowerment, freedom, splitting of ideas. Just I can say nothing more than a split. The generation of divorce, the generation of single mothers, all those things that we lived through, I think uniquely prepared us to be better parents.
You're my age, right? How old are you?
35. How old are you?
38.
Yeah.
Close enough.
Close enough.
So, bro, I can tell you this. This is how I always think about it every time. I was in the 7th grade. Sitting in the bag kid class with nothing but smart ass bad kids. And they told us we about to play the stock market. And we the bad kid class. And how they got the school sanctioned off is the different sanctions of the school is going to play against each other. The winner of the stock market will win computers for the school. The bad kid class won, right? My class won the stock market. And everybody was shocked. But the secret surprise was we about to give y'all the internet. And then they spent 2 months explaining to us what the internet was, and we didn't give a fuck. But I think about that all the time when I think about my life and our generation and what we are, because the talks right now are like, oh, the internet is fucking us. The social networks are ruining us. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the main dialogue of anything that you do. And that shit was birthed in our lifetime. If I was in 7th grade, you was in like 4th grade or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
we're children of that shit. Like,
yeah,
the information age, bro, and the information wave.
Yeah,
like, just think about it. That's what you're a child of.
Yeah, way too much information, and for sure it was during our childhood that this all came to bear. And the thing is, I remember getting like AOL. I remember dialing up to get on the internet, but I also and I remember getting a flip phone or a Nokia brick phone. And I can't imagine now, like, I go out here's a real here's a real simple one. When we were kids, like, so now when you go out to eat, you see a family of 5 and the mom and the dad and 3 kids, and all 3 kids have their own tablet, and that's how the parent deals with the child, right? And they have access to information. They're going to be a YouTube star. They got their own TikTok page, their own Instagram, and they get to choose. Like, maybe they're not going to eat, they don't want to eat. They want to look at their iPad. When we were kids, we sat our ass at the table, and maybe we were the last generation that had to do that. We sat our ass at the table until we finished our plate of food, regardless of whether or not we liked it. And that mentality, I think, is something that needs to be instilled in children. I mean, maybe not as extremely as it was for some of us, but I do think that that's where we're losing. And it comes in because of this ease of access to information that we have now, and specifically children are now coming up with ideas about how they should be treated and how things should go. Right. And you're right, man. So
I'm in the middle. So I'm in the middle, bro. I feel 2 ways about it. Like, I definitely am one to be like, try to communicate without technology with my kid. But at the same time, I want you to experience everything.
Yeah.
And with my kid, bro, this phone that I'm on, he knows how to swipe. It's an Android. So it's not a swipe up, it's a swipe down.
Yeah.
He knows how to swipe down. He knows how to go switch on the kids mode. Or he knows how to look through the apps and find apps that he likes, like YouTube and whatnot. And the suggestions, some of his videos are already suggested because he's been on my YouTube already. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's 2.5, bro. He's 2.5.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That shit's wild.
And even like, I'm telling you, bro, you have no idea. You can sit here and say the tablet thing is crazy, but when you see it, like, it's something different to him than it ever will be to me, than it ever was to me, bro. Like, I was not innately born with the ability to work that motherfucker. I can barely work it.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? He's born knowing how to do this, bro. I didn't teach him that.
And that's
bro, most of the stuff that I'm going to make anybody who watches this, I'm going to make my Instagram unprivate. Any of the stuff that you see my kid do on Instagram, nobody taught him.
He just picks it up and he knows. That's the thing. When you're a kid, you can learn this shit so much with so much ease. No, you can learn many things with ease.
Bro, he's seen me play a record. He's seen me sample a record. He ain't seen me scratch a record, pick up a microphone and rap at the same time, but that's what he does.
Yeah. So
it's something different to him. It's in his, like, it may even innately be in his DNA. I'm no scientist.
Yeah, but I think that there's something interesting to be said also about the way the interaction is with the device or the technology, or in your case, the phone. And also talking about the music, it's like, if you make those things available, yes, that's okay if you make them available, as long as you don't use them as, I just find that a lot of people use them as a babysitter or a way to, like you said it perfectly. You were like, when you have a kid, you realize that you're a selfish motherfucker and you have been your entire life, and you've got to take care of this kid. What a lot of people do nowadays, especially people in our generation who have these tools at their disposal now, instead of choosing to not be selfish, use that to get their time back. And right. I'm with you. I guess I'm with you on that. I'm with you on the fact that, like, if it's used in the right way and you
can't tell a 2-year-old who uses something better than you do, hey, you can't use that. You know what I'm saying?
He's giving you the key.
Like, he's onto some shit. He might build one next year, bro. I don't want to prevent that from happening.
Yeah, he might. Yeah, that might be it, bro. That might be his thing.
You know,
that's crazy.
I don't want to cripple that. You know what I'm saying? I don't want you to think that that's everything, but I don't want you, go ahead, play with that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? There's a time and a place. You ain't got no bills to pay right now or nothing.
No, I think that, shit. I think that in general, that's just a beautiful way to parent, to not really. That's like the dichotomy in my mind is how do you make rules not rules, right? Like, how do you not oppress? Because I feel like parenting in some form is oppression. And so to allow them to,
it is.
yeah.
There still comes a point in the night where it don't matter what you say, it don't matter what you want to do. It's bedtime.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That point still comes. You know what I'm saying? But throughout the day, you know what I'm saying? You got a lot of freedom.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I didn't have that. You know what I'm saying? I think it's important, man. I think it's important. But everybody different though. That's another thing you're gonna learn. You might go back and hear this a year from now and be like, say it's crazy. I would never. Because everybody different. Everybody got different ways of parenting. You know what I'm saying? You gotta see what works. You gotta see what works for you, and you gotta see who your kid is. Because everybody kid ain't the same.
And dude, it's fucking wild to go on the internet too and try to find out some information. But if you got a question, regardless, even if we're not talking about childhood, but like that everybody is different thing, and then you got a question, you go on the internet, you cannot get a fucking direct answer, bro. Everybody is different. You try to find an answer to something that you like a grave problem that you've got going on, or something you with a health, some kind of issue. Everybody's got an issue. Which one do you pick? I've found so I've found that like the only way to weed through that shit is like the top 5, distill those top 5 down and take a little piece from each one, and maybe that's, I mean, it's wild. It's the same in this. We can use this conversation to even segue into creativity.
I do that, but I just treat the internet like a novel, bro. So I just click and read a little bit here and there. Like how you would read a novel, you know how you be like, I read a book, but you read like a paragraph of each chapter. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But I read a book. That's how I treat the internet, bro. That's how I treat the internet. It's like a novel.
Absolutely. I do that shit too. Like the news, like I have a Google phone. So if you swipe to the right, you get the Google news feed. And and on the Google news feed, I'll be like, oh, that looks like an interesting article. And I open it up and I read one paragraph, and I'll go to my wife and I'll be like, look, here, I just read this incredible story. And then I get through describing the story and realize I don't even know how the motherfucker ends. Like I just read the beginning of it, and then I feel like I'm equipped for the day. You know what I mean? I've learned something but it is a lot of fluff when you read through that shit. And that's the other unfortunate part about the internet and the access to information. And I was talking with this is actually, it's so funny that we're going down this track, because this is how we got to you when me and Danny were talking about. We were talking about even music, the way we consume music now. You are a crate digger. Danny was a crate digger. That's how we got on this conversation, right? Like all you guys from that generation, that's how you started. And the experience with music now is even watered down. The experience with any art is a little bit watered down, because now you can just go pick the best paragraph of any piece that's put together. When you're creating now, like you're talking about making an album, which is fucking crazy, and some of the younger people listening to this might not even know what that is. I don't know if they're but like there was EPs, LPs, it's a whole nother conversation. But like, when you think about making an album now, do you think about that shit? Like when you make a track, do you like, fuck it, let's just make singles? Or when you think about making an album, how do you feel the experience? How do you put that back into a project where you can't physically hold on to a CD or a record or a tape with liner notes and an understanding of what that person is producing? How do you visualize that?
I'm still filling it out, man. It's the thing about it is you can't, because it's still forever changing. Like, right now we're in a stage where it's all about like Instagram and YouTube, and you got to have like very well produced content for either or. Like people will make a person will make a beat with samples and all that, and they'll make a video for it. Excuse me, with no rap, but they'll have a crazy visual for it. Like they'll hire like an animator, you know what I'm saying, to like cartoon draw them in their studio with like plants waving to the beat or something, and it'll be like a loop. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a lot of like, there's more layers to it right now, even than just putting out an album or an EP or a song. Though you can still do that, if you're trying to really make like a career, for lack of better terms, out of your art, your music, then what your team looks like now is not what your team looked like. Not even when we was hustling, like not even not even 7, 8, 9 years ago. Your team looked, it was a manager, a promoter, and a whole bunch of homies. Bro, your team now is like photographer, animator, designer, stylist, like, and this is a person who ain't even famous.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? This is how they kind of approach it. And at least from how I can see it, is how I feel like it's approached.
Yeah.
So when I make my stuff, I try to still remain and not kind of give a fuck, because I don't want to get caught up in all that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's almost become intangible, no? Like music used to be a very tangible thing, specifically genres like hip hop and punk rock. You waited,
bro. Like it's this crazy. This is how crazy it is. This is why I don't think about shit. This is why I just post it on Instagram or wherever it winds up is where it winds up right now. If I want to get a little bit of money, maybe Bandcamp or something. But I forgot what I was about to say.
We were talking about intangible music being intangible.
Yeah. I forgot what I was about to say. I had a good example of somebody who takes advantage of this of music and the situation very well right now, but I forgot who I was about to talk about.
You think about it, is that weed, bro? It's been 20 years on weed. 20 plus years.
All the time. All the time. It affects the memory, and it's fine. Some shit ain't meant to be remembered.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that'll be for the next one. But I mean, there's just there was something special about having a piece, having a CD. I saw you posted recently, like digging through some shit and finding, maybe it wasn't recent, maybe it was a few months back, but like digging through some shit and finding old CDs. And that's meaningful to you.
I find CD covers in crates all the time. And It's crazy because that was a thing. And they're useless now. Cars don't even have CD players, bro.
I know, dude. The car that we have has a CD player with Bluetooth, never been used.
Right. Oh, hey, I know what I was going to say.
I could tell by that face that you were really trying to think of it. So I'm going to let you go.
Y'all, you work at a restaurant. I make music. This is how insane it is right now. We have to have Instagram accounts or a Twitter or a Facebook. There was a time where that wasn't a task. That was okay. I can do that. But it's gotten so crazy now, the way that the game works. Like, you have to pay to even communicate with your followers.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And I say that in response to what you're saying about thinking about how I make albums and thinking about, you can't think about how you're doing it too much because the shit is so weird and forever changing. You know what I'm saying? They're making you got 1,000 followers, but they can't see what you post unless you pay advertising. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's insane.
Yeah. And the craziest thing, me and Danny had this same conversation too, is like, you're right. You've got to pay even for your own followers to see your shit. And what we were talking about is like now everybody's an influencer. So what happens when everybody's an influencer? What happens when all this shit? This is really why guys like yourself, like Q-Nox, like Jip, like Damian Hines, like the Denver scene that I know, like Brick-a-Brack even, who still hangs on to it and never gave a fuck, because I do believe that there will be, and it might not be in our generation, so then it's our responsibility to hand this knowledge down to people, but there will be a time where there's so many influencers that it doesn't even fucking matter if you're an influencer. What happens where is the cap on Instagram followers? And when does that stop being relevant? You know, that's really the glass ceiling of the situation. And I think we're going to reach that point at some point. No, I mean, we have to.
Hold up. I got to go back.
It's all good. You bounced out.
It was froze.
Yeah. How much of me did you lose there? This is technology.
It said it froze. We said might not happen. in our generation.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, thank you, technology. As we're speaking about tech, this is fucking Instagram, bro. You know what I mean? They're probably listening to our conversation, but no, it might not happen in it may not happen in our generation, but there's got to be a glass wall to this thing, because how many, what I was saying is, like, what is the cap? When is it enough? It's the same as money, really, right? It's like, when is it enough? When does it stop? If everybody's just searching for Instagram followers, they're just taking a bunch of fucking money and everybody's getting a bunch of likes, but companies can't sponsor everybody.
Yo, if everybody's a chef, who gonna eat the food? Who you cooking for?
Yeah.
If everybody on stage rapping, who you rapping for? That's what happens. Like, it's like you just gonna wind up rapping for rappers, bro. Cooking for cookers. That's like, you know what I'm saying? It's what it is. It's what it is. That's what we've become. That's what, ain't it like Andy Warhol or somebody who was like, in the future, everybody gonna be famous for like 12 seconds or something like that?
I don't know if it was Andy Warhol. We should look that up. But that is,
I'm pretty sure it's Warhol, man. Or maybe 30 seconds. He had a quote like that. Like he called it. Like, in the future, everybody will be a famous artist for like 12 seconds.
That was for seeing Instagram, and now we do have, like, in my field, in your field, in visual art, people who just come up way too quick, and it's also producing a passionless generation who just don't really like what they're doing, but they're doing it because they found a way to get up there quick, and they're going to be in their mid-30s. They're going to be our age, and they're going to be like, fuck, what the fuck? Now I can't make money at doing this shit. I don't really like it. I'm stuck here. It's an odd fucking place to be. And this is why, for me, is like the most important thing I can possibly focus on with my offspring and my in our next generation, is instilling in them some of, giving them a record, like your son, give them a record, give them a paintbrush, give them a knife, and don't let them climb too quickly. I feel that's my perspective, is like, don't let them feel that they can climb too quickly. Let them understand that failure is, it's beautiful, man. When you fail, when you bleed for what you do, when you really pain and lose sleep and don't know when you're going to pay the bills next or be able to, when you cry and you hurt about what that's really when you feel it. I think that's really when you connect. I mean, that's probably where some of your greatest moments came from. No, I'm sure as an artist, a lot of your greatest works come from pain.
I make way better music sleeping on couches of other people's houses than I do sleeping on my couch at my house.
Or in your bed.
Way better.
Or on a floor in some random ass house in Austin, Texas.
All of that produces way better art.
Hum was down in Hum came and visited, another producer friend of ours. He came down and visited, and we were reminiscing, and just there was something special that happened in Denver for a few years. Right? Like right before this crazy shift happened, I do believe if you look at where everybody is and the shit that came out at that time, there was something that was going on, and there was some energy that was in the air that made it was just incredible. I think it was that none of us gave a fuck. Everybody was just doing shit because they were happy to do it, and everybody was just creating wildly, and maybe because we were too fucked up, or maybe because we were too stoned or drunk. I mean,
there was still a glimpse of it's hard for, like, how do I say this? You could still see like a way to greatness at that time.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you could see like it was possible to be king of some shit. You know what I'm saying? It was possible, or at least it felt like we could rule the fucking world. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think that's what it was. Like, that feeling got crushed in a lot of fields. You know what I'm saying? And it's still being crushed, you know what I'm saying, between the internet and places closing in the last year and shit. Like, a lot of shit is changing and going through like a metamorphosis. But at that time, like and we were still carrying the torch. There was people, it was still like everybody went a bit further than the group before them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like the group of rappers that are 4 or 5 years older than me, they took it a step further than the groups of rappers that was 4 or 5 years, older than them. You know what I'm saying? It was progress.
Yeah.
I was carrying a flag for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Hum was carrying a flag for a whole radio station of people.
Yeah.
Base mentalism. You know what I'm saying? Sarlo and Big Will was carrying a flag for a whole lot of jazz musicians and guys like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It was something. You're right. I guess what I'm saying, it was something special, but to give it more detail, like, it was the continuation of something special. It was a pattern of people wanting to do something for this place that we're from.
And you feel like, do you feel like that's possible again? What does it take to get back there? What does it take for guys like you to get back to
I don't think, because that's not a thing no more. That's not, I mean, you can do that, but it would exist on a very underground level. You know what I'm saying? It would exist in the city among like a certain tribe of people, I guess you could say. But overall, like that's not what the game involves now. Again, the game involves getting likes, a photographer, a stylist. You know what I'm saying? Like that's a part. You got to have all of your accounts. You got to have all of your, like if you go to any artist that's like trying to get on, if you go to their YouTube and watch like whatever their big song is that they're pushing, it's got like 15 links up under it.
Yeah.
My TikTok, my Snapchat, my Instagram, you know what I'm saying? It's insane, bro. Like it's just crazy.
Maybe the only. Go ahead.
I think that I'll let you talk, but I think that all of those things are what is they're all there. Not only do they prevent us from getting back to that type of energy, but that's what they're there for. Like people don't want that kind of energy. They'd rather sit back and enjoy the internet experience and get paid for the internet experience. That's what kids are like now. I work with kids for 2 hours sometimes in the daytime. I get to see it firsthand. Like, you know what I'm saying? They exist in the phone realm more than they exist in the physical realm.
And do you think that also, I mean, you said people want that. Do you think also in some form, the quote unquote powers that be want that also? Because it wasn't.
That's what I'm talking about when I say people.
Okay.
I don't think the regular folks know what they want. I always believe that regular folks are just a flock. You know what I'm saying? Like if positive music is popping and girls are drinking and dancing to that, then we listening to positive music.
Yeah.
If stupid music is what they drinking and dancing to, then we listening to stupid music. Like it's not really rocket science, I don't think, in the sense of the music realm. If it's got some drums and a funky bass line, we grooving. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and it does seem like, I mean, for sure, if you look throughout history, wild creative movements are gonna get oppressed, and it's not always apparent why that happens. And maybe this mold of technology, its greater purpose is to control consumption and control movement. I mean, I can see that happening for sure. Look, one of the things that I've been really focused on is I realized a huge error in the way we consume. Kind of was always subconsciously with me, but I realized a huge error in the way we consume. And so one of the other reasons I moved to a rural place in the south of Mexico was to tune into what I had seen, that there was farmers. I had seen that communities still existed autonomously and produced the things that they needed, and that it was a possibility. And so that's one of the reasons I came down to disconnect. And dude, you want to know what? I work with these farmers we have a nonprofit, and I work with these farmers. The nonprofit's called De La Costa, and the farm is called San Juan Alimentos. These guys, their parents have been on that land for 40 years. They took it over 5 years ago. The husband was a taxi driver. The wife had been part of the family farm, and they said they were going to start doing regenerative organic agriculture for the sole purpose to support their community with healthy food, and mostly their family. And they don't have a goddamn thing they have a very small, probably the size of your apartment, two kids, the parents, they got 50 hectares of land, a ton of land. I've never seen happiness like that in my life. And there's not many places that I go in the world that I leave as happy as when I leave that farm. And they don't know shit, dude. They don't know, if they have no idea how to work Instagram, Facebook. I mean, they do enough that they need to.
But it's the it's the tool for measurement, though. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, they don't have shit to you because you've seen shit.
Yeah.
They have everything, bro, from what they know.
Exactly, and that was the directive of that. To us, they don't have shit, but to me, I've started to realize in my life that that's actually everything, and that playing this game is not everything. And I ask myself the question all the time, like, what quantity? Because really, when we play these games, when we play these follower games, all the things that we do, right, in work, in music, in art, what is the point? And I always ask myself the question: is there a number that I'm chasing, and what is that number, and would that number ever come, and would that number change? Do you ask yourself a similar question ever? Like what do you
this is just circling back to what I was saying about like how I live and how I am and how it makes me a great artist, but it doesn't make me the best human. Like, I'm just not the best human in those kinds of like, even how you talk about the farmers. Like, I'll go, I don't care, sure, right? But even in the city, I'm still kind of the farmer.
Yeah.
To city people's eyes, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because I'm that far away from, like, Aisha I should probably just bring her in here so she could tell you how much she hates it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I experience life differently than a lot of people. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I'm in class right now. I'm not in a Zoom call right now.
Yeah.
I'm literally in class right now. I'm in class with the homie Travis. He ain't been to class in like 2-3 years. It's great to see him. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's literally how I see it, man. I'm always learning. You know what I'm saying? Everything that I touch is something, like, I can get lost so easy in anything. It's like when you clean, it's like when you cleaning some shit, like you cleaning your room or cleaning your crib, and you find something that you ain't seen in a while, and you got to sit down and look at it for like 2 hours, and now you're not cleaning the room. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now you're reminiscing about where this thing came from and the last, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm like that all the time. I don't have to be cleaning, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And that,
like,
dude,
so if it's a music thing, then I can get lost in it. But any other thing, like, you know, at any moment, it's just like, I'm gone.
And that's life, folks. That's that is this is the whole thing. This is the whole thing that the farm taught me. This is the whole thing that getting the fuck. Look, I'm not fully equipped to navigate a city the way you navigate a city. I come from the woods. If certain people are better in the city, you have a really good ability to stay at arm's length. All the poison I run to, and so for me,
it's fair. It's fair, bro. Don't. Let's not paint me a halo and these big magnificent angels.
No, I know it exists. I know it exists for you too, but I just mean that getting away made me realize this thing, right? This thing about what you're saying. This is, everybody's looking for the end. Like, life is this, and when you get this, that is life. It's school. It is school. It's constantly school. Every day is school. Every day you have to learn. In the most important thing is
when you realize that there's countless professors, there's countless classes that you can take, there's countless courses, whatever. Like, when you start to really look at it that way, bro, I'm telling you, you start to be me. You start to laugh at everything. You start to fucking, you know what I'm saying? It starts to be more of a coast.
Yeah.
Because you're just like, this teacher's wild. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This teacher's really fucking wild. He's dancing in the street ass naked right now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, and and,
Like,
and and I think that you have to wake up in the morning and want to learn. That's a prerequisite to happiness, I believe. No, I mean, for me, I think that that's what I found. So
you got that little one. I'm telling you, you're gonna wake up and learn all right. You about to learn your vowels and all that shit all over again.
yeah,
You about to be right back like a dummy again. Watch. How do you do division? How do you do watch?
and the
It's
lessons
great.
commence
It's fun. It's fun.
once again. Well, yo, we've been at it for like an hour and 15 minutes.
That's what's up.
I'm sure we all gotta run. You probably gotta run back. You got a baby knocking on the door. Right before we clap out though, just quick, tell everybody what you got coming up, where we can find you, where we can find your music. Any last words of wisdom?
I got all the gems already. Just like listen to this with headphones on and smoke one.
There you go.
So my Twitter and all that is Sedrick Avenue, Sedrick Avenue spelled out. You can still find the music too if you search Whygee, Whygee. Got some Whygee records dropping all the time. You search WHYGYP. And yeah.
Word up.
Shout me out. At me. Holler at me. I follow back.
We'll put links in the show notes. Really amazing to connect with you. Stay on right after I clip this recording, brother. But beautiful to connect with you as always. Love your energy and sincerely one of the greatest things that's ever happened to hip hop in any corner of the world. So it was great to talk to you.
You look healthy and happy, sir.
Thank you, brother.
You look healthy and happy.
Thank you, brother.